Hey everybody, my name is Matthew. Welcome, of course, to Universal Game Master. Today I'm going to be talking about the three pillars of role-playing games. The three pillars concept is just this idea that a good or satisfying role-playing session and campaign needs these elements to bring about satisfying play. First, role playing. In our role playing games, role playing or acting is important because it is where we learn who these characters are. It's where we learn who the other player characters are. It's where you can also discover things about your character that you didn't potentially know before. These social interactions are where you can gather information at the tavern by talking to political figures. It's these moments that you can find out that the shopkeeper is more than just a bunch of items with price tags on them. You find out that they have hopes and dreams and that they can potentially be quest givers or maybe even romantic options. Role-playing games are this unique and rare experience because you can really get a feel of what it's like to be somebody else. Something that video games kind of fall flat when they do. Have you ever been playing a video game and you thought to yourself, I don't like that cutscene just made my character do that, or I really wish that my character could do these sort of actions. Role-playing games, sky is the limit. There are so many different actions and interactions that you can have that are so different and unique to tabletop experiences. Next up, exploration. Exploration or discovery is very important because it brings out a sense of awe and wonder to the world. You need to have things for your players to discover. You need to have things that your players can question. Mystery and intrigue kind of falls into this realm. Without exploration or discovery, everything in the world can kind of feel bland, as there's really no mystery or intrigue to anything that's going on. The third pillar is, of course, combat. We all love it. Combat is very important. It is intense. It is driving. It gets your heart pumping. These literal life and death moments when you actually feel like the character that you are playing is in grave danger. It can really add excitement, tension, and drama to everything that is going on. Outstandingly important because without action or drama, these intense moments, the game's just gonna get boring. You have to have these to breathe life into the action. There is a very good reason why most of the rule sets for these types of games that we play are mostly dedicated to combat. We have all these cool abilities. We have all these unique talents and traits that our characters can do. We have items and weapons that our characters get to utilize, and combat, conflict is where it all happens. Combat, or also conflict. I say that because it could be a tense negotiation with a hostile enemy diplomat. Weapons don't need to be drawn for there to be conflict. It is important to have a balance of all of these things. If you have nothing but roleplay, all it is social interactions and playing pretend. Could be a rewarding experience for a little while, but after a while it's just gonna become everybody's just kind of playing pretend. Everyone's just playing house with no real stakes or actions. No real story outside of just a day-to-day sort of mundane interactions. You can have long bits of roleplay, but if it's nothing but roleplay, things will start to run out of steam. If your game is nothing but exploration, it sounds kind of cool to just be exploring and discovering the entire time. But if that's literally literally the only thing you were doing, it would turn into walking through a museum. A great big huge history lesson where you're taking notes on the empires that risen and fallen throughout the ages, keeping track of dates and eras and when things were invented and different figureheads throughout the world. And that would just be exposition after exposition after exposition. Like I said, could be fun for a little while, but after a while you'd get tired of the museum. If all you had is conflict, 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 after a while it'd be meaningless. I know I hear you saying, oh, I love fighting. I love getting the sword and board out and really bringing it to the enemies. If all you were doing session after session for the entirety of a campaign or a one-shot was just fighting waves and waves of enemies like some sort of tower defense game, you'd begin to ask yourself, why do all these enemies keep coming at us? What's the point of it? Why am I here? Why do they just keep getting steadily increasing in difficulty? You would very quickly lose your motivation to do anything as combat just kept dragging on and on and on with no real point to it. Now, if you're watching a lot of my videos, you know what I'm about to say next. None of these things need to be segmented into their own little categories. Just because combat starts doesn't mean roleplay stops. Lots of really good role-playing can be that discovery, can be that exploration space. Combat shouldn't be flat. There is no reason these other two elements can't be a part of the conflict. The evil prince says, I will destroy this empire for what they did to me and my family. It's roleplay, and you discover a little bit of his motivation, why they are doing what they are doing. So remember, all these things, they can work in tandem. Man, I just really wish I had some examples. Something that everybody knows about, where there's, combat and roleplay happening at the same time. But I can't think of any moments that combat and roleplay were put together. I guess everybody's got to step up their game, so eventually we can have some examples of combat and roleplay happening together. So remember, as you are making your games and as you are planning your sessions, remember the 3 pillars. If you're going to have a dungeon crawl, there is going to be combat, where they run into a room and there is something ready to fight them. Make sure you have discovery and mystery, exploration in these spaces. And I'm not just talking about exploring and finding the rooms of the dungeon. Come across a room that has a puzzle. A puzzle is a great way that you can incorporate conflict and discovery all into a space that can feel very intense, but you're not actually fighting anything. There is no reason you can't have roleplay in a dungeon crawl. You come across a high-level enemy that could probably wipe your party out. But as they stand there, they lower their weapon and say, I could defeat all of you, but really, I'm just so terribly lost right now. Do you guys know the way out of here? I promise I will not slay you all if you only show me where the exit to this dreadful entombment is. Last example, really quickly. Traveling. Traveling can absolutely incorporate all these elements. You are on a ship. The cook and the navigator begin to fight, and you find out that they are related in some way, and they're just having a family feud, but it's kind of bothering everybody else on the ship. Something comes out of the blue and attacks the ship. There's no reason that there can't be something big and scary with lots of teeth that is very hungry. Combat. You can have it happen. Exploration and mystery. You guys are moving along and you discover the wreckage of some other ship. Maybe you find out it was a ship that you were supposed to meet up with. What did this? How did this ship meet its end? It's very easy to just have things jump out at the party and fight them during travels. You have to resist that urge to just have combat after combat after combat, because then it can start to feel a little bit tedious. So remember, the 3 pillars. Always remember the 3 pillars of roleplay. Thank you guys so very much for watching. My name is Matthew. Hey, the next couple of videos, I want to know what you guys would like me to talk about. This channel is entirely for all of you. Do you want me to cover some of the topics that I did in my first videos in more detail? Do you want me to talk more about these 3 pillars? I've also been toying around with the idea of doing kind of a world building workshop. World building is one of my passions. Anybody who's done it will tell you it is a lot of fun. And that is a very beefy topic, which would require a lot of videos to kind of go through and work through. But if you guys want me to tackle that, that's what I'm here for. Well, until next time, UGM. Look at all this. Look at all this. Oh my goodness. You're so poofy. Oh, you need a haircut so bad. Oh my goodness. You need a haircut so bad. I'm gonna give you a haircut, make it look like you're wearing a coat.